Greetings, everyone, and welcome to our premiere episode of the Mass Media Review. I am Mr. Box, and this is my best friend and co-host, Boogie.
And like Jay-Z says, you could be anywhere in the world right now, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.
Yes, a little bit about ourselves, though. Boogie and I have spent enough money and time watching TV and films to a level of expertise in the highest caliber, which qualifies us as professional critics.
Right on. So, we start with a 2015 film that had a limited release titled Everest, based on a true story about mountain climbers Rob Hall, played by Jason Clarke, Scott Fisher, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and Beck Weathers, played by Josh Brolin, directed by Baltasar Kormákur.
Jeez, Boogie, I think you really mangled the director's name there. I think it's Kormákur. Anyways, since this film is based on a true story, there are no spoiler alerts here, because if you did your homework, you'll know most of the climbers died with an exception of one guy who returns to the campsite with frostbite and eventually becomes an amputee, which is something I can empathize with.
Word. Personally, I did feel their ambition and drive to climb to the peak of Everest, but I also felt I was watching something I could have discovered on the interweb, or simply by reading the book, just to avoid the 2 hours of feeling frozen and Despite that, some performances were better than others.
Actually, now that you mention it, I believe the Chirpas seemed the most authentic in their performance, maybe because they hired real Chirpas for the role. Didn't you think that the Chirpas were the most authentic? I thought they were.
Well, some performances from the actors were legit, although I like Jake Gyllenhaal. Unfortunately, he played himself on this one, but for some reason his sister, who is not in this film, is more believable than he is when she acts, which proves that talent is definitely not gene-based, especially in their case. The lead actor Clarke was on point, and Brolin was dope too.
Yeah, I can't believe Brolin was the older brother from the Goonies. It seems like yesterday that we saw that flick.
It actually was yesterday when we saw Goonies.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, why they ignored the warnings about the weather getting worse with reckless abandon is beyond me. And you're right, Boogie. An hour into watching this film made me feel as if my nuts were dipped into an ice bucket.
True, but there were moments of suspense, like the ladder scene, which I was hoping to see more moments of. At least they didn't take the American Sniper route. The Everest director told the story as truthfully as it took place.
Boogie, stay with me on this, because you're going off on another tangent for a different film. Anyways, get this. The climbers get about $60,000 a pop per wealthy client to guide to the top of Everest. You would think with that kind of money, they'd want to come back alive and enjoy their spoils by indulging themselves with a high dosage of their favorite narcotic. But instead, Rob Hall's dedication to climbing the mountaintop took precedence, leaving me dumbfounded.
Well, I have to agree to disagree with you on this one. The climbers' drive to get to the top of the mountain, which was what the movie was all about. The adrenaline rush was their drug of choice. I think. Well, whatevs. Let's cut to the chase and get to our rating. What do you give this one, Mr. B?
Given that I'd voiced more cons than pros on this particular film, I'd have to give it an FU rating of 2 stars with a fat fugazi. What about you, Boogie?
I give it an FU rating of 3 stars of furiously cool. If you dig survival type with characters getting stuck in caves or ditches, like Alive or The 33, you'd love this flick.
You know, another thing that was... What? Has this pic of our cat yawning been up all this time? What kind of operation are we running here?
Whoa, I just realized this now. It's probably just a technical glitch.
A glitch? You think? This is so embarrassing. What kind of derelicts do we have working for us? Our cat's pic has been up during this whole segment. Why didn't anyone tell us? This is complete bullshit. I demanded investigation on this matter. In fact, I'm gonna take a lunch break, and when I come back, this better be fixed.
Well, that's all for now, people. Remember, nobody ever went broke underestimating the taste of the American public. Until next time.
Signing off with a big FU, and we'll see you later.